Greetings. Now, one video I looked at in some detail was that of Oliver Battersby. Oliver Battersby was the boy from Coronation Street whose mother repeatedly went to appeal court cases to stop his life support being turned off. Archie Battersby was the supposed real-life child whose mother repeatedly went to appeal courts to stop his life support being turned off. Going back to this story, as I said, I did cover it in some detail with my video, The Boy in the Machine. It was left open-ended. We didn't come to any definite conclusions. I thought it interesting that they had now held his funeral. Now, interestingly, if we go back a couple of months to June, we look at when Deborah James was still around before her funeral. I did a video, Deborah James, a prediction, where I made a series of predictions about what we would see at her funeral. I think in the end I only got like one and a half right. Had I made these same predictions for Archie Battersby, I would have been giving myself a lot more ticks. Again, going back to another story that I've covered, David Amos, if we remember his funeral. The video I made about the David Amos fairy tale, referencing all the high-profile funerals that seem to use horse-drawn carts. Believe me, there's a lot of them. I'll play this little outro at the end of this video. We can now add Archie Battersby to the list. In fact, some parallels between Archie and David Amos. In the case of Archie, his funeral was held at St. Mary's Church in Southend. In the case of David Amos, his casket was carried into St. Mary's Church in Southend. So apparently they used the same church, they used the same black horses and horse-drawn cart. Something else we heard. Bells tolled at the church as teary-eyed mourners began to arrive. What was it they said in Archie's story? Church bells tolled as the coffin carried inside, with the song Hypnotize by American rapper Notorious B.I.G. playing over the speakers. Interesting choice of song there. Hypnotize. Are some of these people literally being hypnotized? The Mirror seemed to have put this little piece together for Archie. It shows a screen they had up in the church showing all the great CGI the wonderful pictures that his mother managed to get with him. It just strikes me that people came to this funeral not to mourn, not to pay their respects to 12-year-old Archie, but to get some photographs which they could then sell on to the Daily Mirror in the case of this. Here we see the coffin being brought into St. Mary's. This colour, black with a hint of purple, was the uniform of the day. It was requested that everyone comes wearing black with a hint of purple because they must love the colour purple for some reason. Perhaps it was Archie's colour, who knows. Even the Reverend was wearing it round his neck. They keep going on about she thinks he may have been taking part in an online challenge and suffered brain damage. Constantly going on about this online challenge. Here she is looking quite the part, and here are all these photographers. I'm sorry, for me that would be like, this is a dignified event, it's my son's funeral, can you get lost with your cameras? What are you doing trying to take photos and make money off the death of my son? You're an absolute disgrace to your profession. Nope, she doesn't care about any of it. In fact, check this out in a minute. All for the cameras, shot of the horse-drawn carriage pulling up. This guy even gets up on the embankment just to film it. What's he going to do, sell it on? And with absolute dry eyes, completely 100% dry eyes. At least she's managing to keep the duping delight down. No massive smiles, although we don't see her for long. She pretends like she's about to cry, but with not one dropped smudge of makeup, she reads this very nondescript eulogy that she said about her son. He was perfect, he was a good boy. How about telling us some memories you've got of your son? Nope, he was great, he was perfect. Who would show these horrific images of him on his deathbed? Are they so short of happy memories that they've got to resort to showing this disgusting crap? I do wonder. Didn't make any predictions about his funeral, but if I had, and if I'd used the same predictions I did for Deborah James, I think it would have been hit after hit after hit, although I don't know if many celebrities attended, but of course his mum's now a celebrity. She's loving all the attention. Actually, I wouldn't have got the funeral being held very quickly. It was a good few weeks ago, so they held out on that one. So we go back and look at the story. It featured videos of him singing and performing gymnastics. They harp on about the court case and failed in bids to overturn a High Court ruling, a bit like Leanne's Battersby in Coronation Street, but of course this is meant to be real life. Although the parallels between Archie Battersby and Oliver Battersby are incredible. During the service, a video of Archie singing One Call Away by Charlie Puth was played. Again, it reminds me of not the funeral of Olivia Campbell. If you're not familiar with her, she was one of the victims of the Manchester bombing, but her parent supposedly played a video of her singing a song at their wedding. They got married a second time for Olivia because they had to do something with all the money they'd raised from her passing, and they just decided to blow it all on a Olivia-themed wedding. But here is your Archie-themed funeral. It's very telling that these pictures are provided by The Independent, all copyright of PA Wire. Who are PA Wire? Let's have a look. They provide a 24/7 feed of verified, supposedly, meaning they made them themselves, text, pictures, video, graphics and data to newsrooms around the British Isles. So when photographers come to events like funerals and start snapping pictures of the coffin, it's all for money. That's all they're doing it for. It's just a business. Kind of disgraceful in my book. Anyway, Archie will be added on to the list of people that have had their coffin pulled by a horse-drawn carriage. This taken from the end of my David Amos fairy tale video from back in November 21. I thank everyone for taking the time to watch this. I invite your comment. Cheers, everyone. Fairy tale? Well, no, not exactly. It's just one of those very common things to look out for that they do certainly use in high-profile stories. Could it be that every time a grieving family enters an undertaker's, and they say, by the way, did your loved one die in a high-profile incident? And if they happen to say yes, they say, well, that's great, we can give you the special celebrity package where you get a horse-drawn carriage thrown in, and also we televise the funeral for you, as long as you can get the press behind it. Otherwise you just have to make do with the bog standard funeral that anyone else would expect. All I know is fabricated events always seem to take on a familiar formula, and it's just being able to spot these telltale signs. And with these death hoax, it seems to be that chucking in a horse-drawn carriage is their nod to the audience that, yeah, this is a fairy tale.